Can LISA Rinna truly reinvent herself after stepping away from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? That question has lingered in the minds of fans and critics alike ever since her headline-making departure. For years, she was one of the most recognizable faces on the franchise, bold, outspoken, unapologetic, and almost always at the center of the conversation. When she exited the show amid controversy, speculation followed immediately. Would her relevance fade? Would she struggle without the Bravo spotlight? Or would she once again prove that longevity in Hollywood is about evolution? To understand whether reinvention is possible, it's important to understand who she has always been. Long before reality television amplified her persona, Rinna built a career as an actress, television host, author, and entrepreneur. Soap opera audiences knew her from daytime drama. Fashion fans recognized her fearless style. QVC shoppers associated her with accessible glamour. Reality TV didn't create her, it magnified her. Still, there's no denying that RHOBH became a defining chapter. For 8 seasons, she delivered unforgettable moments, meme-worthy lines, explosive confrontations, and emotional revelations. She leaned into villain edits, stirred conversations, and rarely backed down. Love her or dislike her, she understood the assignment: be compelling television. When her exit came, it felt abrupt to many viewers. The show had changed. Alliances shifted. Public discourse intensified. Social media commentary grew louder and harsher. In today's digital environment, reality television stars exist in a 24/7 feedback loop. Fame is no longer limited to weekly episodes. It's measured in engagement, headlines, and trending hashtags. The common trajectory for many reality personalities is predictable. While on air, they're ubiquitous. Once gone, they often fade quietly into niche appearances or sporadic sponsored posts. The spotlight that once felt permanent can dim quickly. That's why so many predicted a downturn for Rinna. Without Bravo confessionals, would audiences still care? Yet reinvention has always required something more than visibility. It demands adaptability. The entertainment industry thrives on reinvention. Actors pivot to producing. Musicians launch beauty brands. Reality stars transition into podcast hosts or lifestyle moguls. The key isn't clinging to a former identity, it's expanding beyond it. After leaving RHOBH, Rinna didn't retreat. Instead, she recalibrated. One of the first noticeable shifts was her media presence. Rather than distancing herself from the controversy, she acknowledged it. She gave interviews reflecting on her experience, speaking candidly about the emotional toll of reality television. That willingness to engage rather than hide signaled a strategic understanding. Transparency fuels connection. Her guest hosting stint on The Talk demonstrated another facet of her versatility. Daytime television requires a different rhythm than reality TV. There's structure, panel chemistry, topical conversation, and a balance between humor and sensitivity. Rinna stepped into that environment comfortably. Her energy was lively but measured. She engaged in discussions ranging from pop culture to social issues. Critics noted her ease on the panel, proof that she could thrive outside the reality framework. Hosting, in many ways, plays to her strengths. She's quick-wit, expressive, and unafraid to voice an opinion. But it also requires listening, a skill she showcased more deliberately post-RHOBH. The contrast was subtle yet meaningful. Instead of being the instigator, she became a conversationalist. Beyond hosting, she expanded her digital presence. Social media, once an extension of her reality persona, evolved into a creative playground. Fashion videos, bold dance clips, high-energy modeling shoots. She leaned into a campy, self-aware aesthetic. Rather than toning herself down, she amplified the exaggerated qualities that once drew criticism, reframing them as performance art. That shift is significant. Reinvention doesn't always mean becoming quieter or softer. Sometimes it means doubling down, but with intention. Another layer of her post-Housewives identity has been her continued participation in competition and reality-adjacent formats. Though many recall her earlier stint on Dancing with the Stars years before RHOBH, her openness to competitive environments has remained part of her brand. She understands the value of being seen in new contexts where viewers witness vulnerability, effort, and unpredictability. There was also widespread speculation about international reality appearances, including franchises like Celebrity Big Brother UK. Even when such rumors didn't materialize into long-term commitments, the conversation itself underscored something important. Casting directors and producers still see her as valuable television. Relevance isn't just about what you do, it's about whether people still imagine you doing it. Rinna also embraced longer-form conversations through interviews and podcast appearances, including discussions connected to Tamron Hall show. In these settings, stripped of Housewives editing, audiences saw a more reflective version of her. She spoke about grief, career pressures, motherhood, and navigating public criticism. The tone shifted from combative to contemplative. This vulnerability helped rebalance her public image. For years, RHOBH framed her through heightened conflict. Outside of that lens, viewers could reassess her complexity. Reinvention, however, isn't just media appearances. It's branding. Fashion has increasingly become central to her evolution. Runway walks, editorial shoots, avant-garde silhouettes. She's positioned herself less as a former housewife and more as a bold style personality. She embraces sharp tailoring, dramatic shapes, and high-concept glam. Her social feeds resemble curated fashion diaries rather than reality recaps. That pivot aligns with the current cultural landscape. Fashion today rewards personality. It celebrates camp, theatricality, and risk. Rinna's exaggerated confidence fits seamlessly into that space. Of course, skepticism persists. Critics argue that her notoriety is still tied to Housewives drama. They question whether sustained relevance is possible without Bravo's infrastructure. It's a fair point. Major franchises provide consistent exposure and built-in audiences. Without weekly episodes, maintaining momentum requires strategic effort. But reinvention doesn't mean erasing the past, it means reframing it. Rinna hasn't disowned her RHOBH chapter. Instead, she treats it as one act in a longer career. That perspective reflects a veteran understanding of Hollywood cycles. Few careers remain static. Longevity belongs to those willing to pivot. There's also the matter of resilience. Public backlash can derail many reality stars. Online discourse can be unforgiving. Yet she appears energized rather than diminished. Whether that confidence is innate or carefully constructed, it fuels her forward motion. Another dimension of her reinvention involves generational crossover. Younger audiences who may not have followed her soap opera years, or even early RHOBH seasons, encounter her through viral clips and fashion moments. In the TikTok era, personality snippets travel far beyond original contexts. A dramatic strut, a bold hairstyle, a sharp quote, these fragments circulate independently. In that sense, she has adapted to modern fame mechanics. She understands that virality now supplements traditional television exposure. Entrepreneurial instincts remain part of the equation as well. From beauty ventures to lifestyle branding, diversification protects relevance. Even when specific product lines evolve or conclude, the entrepreneurial mindset reinforces her identity as more than a cast member. Importantly, reinvention also requires letting go. The Housewives ecosystem thrives on cyclical narratives, alliances, betrayals, reconciliations. Stepping away interrupts that rhythm. Instead of reacting to new episodes, she controls her narrative timeline. Control is powerful. Without confessional interviews shaping her storyline, she dictates when and how she appears. That autonomy shifts the power dynamic between celebrity and audience. Of course, the question remains, is reinvention permanent or temporary? Some public figures experience a brief post-exit surge before fading again. Sustained reinvention demands consistency. It requires continued projects, creative risks, and audience engagement. So far, Rinna's approach suggests she understands this. She hasn't relied on nostalgia alone. She experiments, sometimes polarizingly, with image, tone, and medium. There's also something to be said for self-awareness. Over time, she has leaned into caricature without seeming trapped by it. That balance between parody and authenticity can be difficult to achieve. When done well, it transforms criticism into performance. In many ways, her journey reflects a broader truth about modern celebrity. Fame today is fragmented. It's not solely tied to one platform. Television, streaming, social media, fashion, podcasting all coexist. A personality can exist across multiple lanes simultaneously. Reinvention, then, isn't about abandoning one identity for another. It's about layering. Her RHOBH years added intensity and notoriety. Her fashion ventures add edge. Her talk show appearances add credibility. Her candid interviews add depth. Together, they create a multidimensional brand. Will she ever completely escape association with Housewives? Probably not. Nor should she. That chapter expanded her audience exponentially. But she doesn't appear content to be defined solely by it. The entertainment industry often rewards reinvention stories. Audiences enjoy witnessing transformation. There's intrigue in seeing someone recalibrate publicly. Success in that endeavor depends on authenticity, or at least the perception of it. Rinna's post-RHOBH era suggests a deliberate recalibration, rather than a desperate grasp at relevance. She seems less concerned with universal approval, and more focused on creative expression. That mindset shift alone can extend longevity. Ultimately, Whether she has reinvented herself depends on perspective. If reinvention means disappearing and returning as someone unrecognizable, then perhaps not. But if it means evolving, expanding, and reclaiming narrative control, then the evidence points toward yes. Her career has spanned decades. Reality television was a chapter, not the entire book. Leaving RHOBH didn't erase her platform, it challenged her to redefine it. And perhaps that's the real takeaway. Reinvention isn't a single dramatic transformation. It's a series of choices made after the spotlight shifts. It's the decision to step forward instead of stepping back. So, has she reinvented herself? The answer may still be unfolding. But one thing is clear: fading quietly was never her style. Thanks for the watching and subscribe.